For Melbourne Ports.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker. The Prime Minister's Indigenous advisor, Warren Mundine, a person I'm honoured to call a friend, made some very prescient observations on radio the other day and previously on Lateline about this debate on the Racial Discrimination Act, particularly on the ability of people to object to racial slurs, intimidation, vilification. He wondered out loud why the government is contemplating this legislation, and he said that from the government's point of view this was a very foolish thing to do because it was sucking the air out of their news agenda, and I think he's right. Why is this happening, Deputy Speaker? It's happening because of one case. As the Chairman of the Human Rights Commission said on radio this morning, Gillian Triggs, you learn in law school that one bad case makes bad law, and that is the Andrew Bolt case that took place 3 years ago. That case, strangely, was not appealed by Mr Bolt or the Herald and Weekly Times. So here we have an entire national furore being created on the basis of a law that was not fully tested by the person who was so aggrieved. I believe that while Bolt's views were wrong, factually wrong, that the judge's interpretation could have been seen as harsh, and if the Herald and Weekly Times and Mr Bolt had had the courage of their convictions, they would have taken it to a higher court, and it would probably have been overruled. Not that we should allow such slurs against Indigenous people, but that there were exemptions already under the Racial Discrimination Act that would have allowed another judge to have made a different judgment. It's also causing a public furore, Speaker, because of the transition of the IPA from a venerable conservative organisation to an organisation of ideological zealots who are pushing this issue and have pushed it onto this current government. The Racial Discrimination Act in Section 18C existed for the 11 years of the Howard government. It worked very well. There are 1,650 complaints, 500 of them dealt with conciliation. Most of the rest of the others dropped. Very few went to court. If it was good enough for John Howard all of those years, Deputy Speaker, I can't understand why it's not good enough for this government. Why are they doing this? A very good question asked by Warren Mundine, a question that the Australian people will be scratching their heads about.
Order. I call the Honourable